What if I told you trade wars are less about protecting jobs and more about manipulating you? They say trade wars protect a nation's economy, that they make countries stronger, safer, and more self-reliant. The media frames them as tough but necessary. Leaders call them battles for fairness, for jobs, for national pride. But peel back the polished headlines and you'll find something else entirely. Behind every tariff, behind every embargo, behind every carefully staged podium speech, lies a deeper game, a darker truth. Today, we're uncovering 5 secrets about trade wars that most governments and corporations would rather you never ask about. But let's start with the first hidden cost that rarely makes headlines. Secret number 1, trade wars hurt domestic workers more than foreign rivals. It's one of the biggest ironies. Tariffs are pitched as a way to protect local industries and bring jobs back home, but in reality, they often end up destroying them. When a government slaps a tax on imported goods, it doesn't just hurt the exporter. It jacks up prices of everything down the line. That means raw materials get more expensive. Steel, aluminum, plastics, electronics components, all of it. Local manufacturers? Suddenly their costs spike. They can't compete. Many freeze hiring. Some lay off workers. Others shut down altogether. The tariff that was supposed to be a safety net turns out to be a trap door. The supposed shield becomes a hammer, hitting the very people it promised to protect. And while consumers end up paying more at checkout, the workers who build, assemble, and ship these goods pay the steeper price with their jobs. Case in point, after the U.S. imposed steel and aluminum tariffs in 2018, a study by the Federal Reserve found the policy led to a net loss of over 75,000 U.S. manufacturing jobs, while the steel industry only gained about 8,700 jobs. That's a 10-to-1 loss ratio. Patriotism shouldn't come with pink slips. And if that irony wasn't enough, the political motives behind trade wars reveal an even murkier picture. This takes us to secret number 2. Trade showdowns are more about personal agenda, less about economics. On the surface, trade disputes are dressed as tough negotiations or economic self-defense. But more often than not, they're political theater in a very expensive costume. A lot of trade wars are launched during election cycles, conveniently timed to fire up nationalist sentiment or distract from domestic problems. Leaders pose tough, flags wave, chants of "protect our jobs" echo, even if the long-term effects are economically disastrous. Many economists behind closed doors, including ones advising these same governments, shake their heads and warn against retaliation, lower exports, and reduced GDP growth. But those warnings rarely make the headlines. But warnings don't make front-page news. Optics do. Trade wars aren't usually economic policy. They're billion-dollar budget designed to win votes, not to fix the system. Take the Trump administration's 2018 China tariffs. Rolled out right before midterms, the move looked strong on camera. But leaked memos showed White House advisors expected GDP to suffer and prices to rise. And rise they did. The average household ended up paying $831 more per year. That's your electric bill for 5 months, a car payment, a week-long family grocery run, gone. Not because of inflation, but because someone wanted to look tough on trade during campaign season. That $831? You didn't vote for it, but your wallet sure did. But stay with me, because the next secret pulls back the curtain on how the richest companies quietly profit, while the rest of us foot the bill. And the consequences deepen when you know secret number 3. Big corporations often benefit, while small businesses suffer. When tariffs drop, big corporations cry foul on TV. But off camera, their lobbyists and lawyers get to work. Within weeks, they're landing exemptions, loopholes, workarounds, or quietly adjusting prices. Global giants can absorb the hit or dodge it entirely. They shift production overseas, route goods through other countries, or simply absorb costs until prices rise enough to cover the gap. Small businesses, they're stuck. No foreign subsidiaries, no back-channel favors, no PR army. When costs go up, they either raise prices and lose customers, or swallow the loss and shrink. Many don't survive. So while the headlines say businesses are hurting, the reality is more specific. Small businesses are hurting. Big players adapt, and in many cases, they actually gain market share. Case in point, in the 2018 US-China trade war, Apple successfully lobbied for exemptions on the Apple Watch and AirPods. Meanwhile, small tech importers got hit with a 15% tariff. That turned a $100 gadget into $115 overnight. Multiply that by 1,000 units a month, and you're bleeding $15,000 just to stay in business. One cosmetics bag maker had to pull out of Target. A toy company folded. And behind each closure, real people, real dreams, and real damage. Apparently, Apple's lobbyists are better at negotiating than your congressmen. Even the promise of national independence turns out to be a rerun of the same script with a new cast. Which brings us to the next blow most people don't see coming. Secret number 4, trade wars don't build independence. They just shift dependence. Trade war champions love the word self-reliant. Sounds noble, right? But here's what usually happens. Instead of making things at home, we just swap suppliers. China out, Vietnam in, Mexico in, India in. The supply chain doesn't come home. It just changes address and it doesn't shrink. Global companies aren't loyal to flags, they're loyal to margins. So rather than building new factories in Ohio, they shift operations to another country with lower labor costs and less political heat. So instead of becoming self-sufficient, nations just end up dependent on a different country. Want proof? After the US tariffs on China in 2018, imports from China dropped 16%. But imports from Vietnam? They jumped 35%. That's not economic sovereignty. It turns out that sovereignty flag? It's made in Vietnam now. For businesses, it meant reconfiguring supply chains. For shoppers, it meant delays, weird product substitutions, and rising prices. For politicians, it meant another press conference. Before I tell you the final secrets that show how the damage lingers, just long enough to silently drain your wallet after the trade war ends. Stick around till the end, then check out our video on the hidden causes of everyday inflation. You will be shocked by the connection between these two stories. Secret number 5. Even when tariff showdowns end, the costs keep adding up. Trade wars don't come with a cleanup crew. They're often used as bargaining chips in larger negotiations. Eventually deals are signed, hands are shaken, agreements are celebrated. But the long term, the wreckage sticks around. The prices that rose during the trade war, they often stay high. Companies bake new costs into their pricing and don't drop them even after their costs go down. Consumers, who got used to paying more, keep paying more. Supply chains rerouted in a panic don't always snap back. Trust between partners erodes, investments stall. Businesses, especially smaller ones, are left struggling to recover long after the headlines move on. In the end, what's left is a weaker economic foundation and a more divided global market. Look at the US-EU Airbus-Boeing dispute that led to tariffs hitting wine, cheese, olives. Even after the truce in 2021, damage had already sunk in. A bottle of French wine that used to cost $12 jumped to $16. Cheeses from Italy or Spain, some shot up 30 to 50%. American importers lost European partners, and shoppers got stuck with less variety. And prices still haven't gone back down. So the next time you hear a politician proudly claim they're tough on trade, ask who really benefits. Is it the local worker, the corner store owner, or is it the multinational corporation with lobbying team and a tax shelter? Ask who really pays the price. Is it the foreign government, or is it the average person, the consumer, the employee, the entrepreneur? Trade wars may sound patriotic. They may look bold, but behind the speeches and flag waving, they're often more smoke than substance. And the truth, as always, is hidden between the talking points. So before you cheer for the next Tough on Trade soundbite, remember who's holding the mic and who's left picking up the tab.